Hey everyone, welcome to the Oasis podcast. I'm your host, Miss AJ. Thanks for tuning in. An oasis is something that provides refuge, relief, or a pleasant contrast, and that is exactly what you will find tuning into the Oasis podcast. This is a space where I and special guests will be cultivating intentional and honest conversations about life's journey. Subscribe everywhere you listen to podcasts and watch us on YouTube now.
Part of being open and vulnerable is being able to have a friendship that is able to speak on the flaws that we may have, that we may not be ready to hear, but you should be open enough to share if we are so and so best friends.
Right.
And she explained, she was just like, I didn't know how you were receiving it. And I had to explain. I said, there's no reason for me to be in competition with you. In fact, I'm happy. But there's a difference between competition and comparison. If I feel like I'm comparing the situation, it's because I'm comparing it on my standpoint of, I wish I was in that realm that you are currently. And why are you there? I'm not even thinking about why are you there. It's more so of why I cannot get there yet. So me correcting her and me opening up had a tremendous impact in how she was relaying conversations more with me, because she was the fact I never knew how to say these certain things. And now that you're teaching me, it's like, okay, now I understand that in my own way, I was defensive because I was apprehensive, I was apprehensive of sharing what I thought might have hurt or triggered you, when in fact, it was the opposite for me.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I know Yana, you wanted to go ahead, and before Yana, I just wanted to add or just comment on what you said, Keish. I think we spend a lot of time thinking for other people, and meaning, this is how they're going to, assuming people are going to respond this way, assuming they're going to respond that way. And the reality situation is, you are, and that person is allowed to react. They're allowed to have their feelings, but it doesn't excuse you from the responsibility or that for you to say how you feel. And I think people don't understand that. Oh, I thought you was gonna be upset, that's why I didn't say anything. What does my reaction have anything to do with how you're feeling, right? Like, these are two separate things. And I think it's such an important piece that we forget in all of our relationships, to be honest. You have the right to your thoughts and your feelings. I have the right to my reaction. There should be enough love, though, and understanding amongst us for you to understand after I had my reaction. Maybe it may not even be the reaction that you're going to think it is, but after I have my reaction, that we're still going to be able to come together, still going to be able to meet in the middle. And I think that right there speaks to the trust that we have in our relationships, right? We think we have this trust. Is that really trust? But go ahead, Yana, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. How
Hey, girl.
doing? I mean, I agree with you. I think that people, sorry, I got bubble gum in the background. I think that people should be able to speak their truth, but what I have learned in all relationships, we're talking specifically about friendships, but I think friendships work like any other relationship, is the solicitation of feedback, because that's the only thing I can control, is asking you where we are in this space. Are you good in this space? And if I do that, then I've done my part. If people are not honest with me after I solicit feedback on the type of friend that I am, because we all have our things. We all have our holdups. We all have our traits. We all have things that we do or don't do that can rub even our closest people the wrong way. And people come with their own baggage. And so if I value you and I value our relationship, then I have to evaluate that relationship from time to time. I got to make sure we good. I have friendships that have lasted decades that we don't always talk. We don't talk every day on the phone. We don't sit in front of each other every day. But, I make a concerted effort to reach out, especially when distance has been a while or time has passed a while and I haven't plugged in. Hey, how you doing? Let me check in. You good? I'm good. We good. We still okay? And then I have friends who I talk to every single day and run my mouth about nothing most of the time. But those are, we chat and we hear from each other quite frequently. And so with every relationship, I think both expect people to want to come to you and let you know what's real, but then you got to act sometimes too, especially when you get in the vibe. Like, listen, y'all, I've heard you say it, T, and we have similar stories of best friend breakups. Like, oh, everybody and my mama was telling me that sis was jealous of me. Oh, I was seeing stuff, but I was ignoring it. So it's not that you didn't know.
Right.
It's that you didn't address it when you peeped it, and when other people put it up front, and then sis was feeling in her feelings, and then moved funny style, and then it came to a head. And I've had so many friendships end in that way because I was like, oh well, I'm ignoring it. We have history, we have time, we have experiences. This is the sis, this is the bro. Nah, they would never be jealous of me, but then they do jealous things. Nah, they not hating on me, but then they saying hating things. Nah, we at the hip. This always been my girl, but then she ain't moving like she used to. And I think with maturity, you learn to call a spade when you get to a certain level, and just be like, "What's up? You good? Are you good? Because I'm noticing." And that's just how I handle friendships. You good? Because I'm noticing.
Well, I tried that. That didn't work either.
It don't. And sometimes it doesn't. You've done your part. Then you've done your part.
Yeah.
You ain't no problem till you let me know there's a problem, because I'm going to keep moving how I move.
You can only control what you can control, and you do have to sometimes, you have to learn to walk away with grace. Ain't no love lost, like you said, T. Ain't no love lost, but I can walk away with grace. I can leave anybody where they at, standing right where they at, and love you from afar, and that's okay. I'll love you from behind my boundaries if loving you close is harmful to me. Yep. So you got to be able to walk away from all type of relationships, friendships, all type of relationships if it no longer serves you. But I think the responsibility in the relationship is both equal. It is equal for that person to be upfront with you, and it is also equal as a friend to solicit feedback, to ask, am I a good friend? Do I do this friendship well for you? Because I don't know what makes me a good friend until I ask my friends what makes me a good friend. I can assume, I could say I'm a good friend, but then my friends could be sitting around talking about, Ayana ain't shit. You know, sis selfish. I don't know. I have to ask these things. I have to intentionally solicit feedback from all relationships that I'm in, especially friendships, because I want to be the type of friend that my friends need. So that to me is something that I keep in the back of my mind. Like, if I haven't heard from somebody, one of my best friends, I've known Sadiqa since we were 12 years old. She's on tonight. And we both have lives. She got 2 babies and a husband. I got a baby. You know, we don't sit and talk to each other every day. But when I connect, I'm here for you. You know, you can call me. You know, at the drop of a dime, if I got to run, I treat your children like they're mine. You treat my children like they're yours. We are family. But we don't always sit and bless it up on the phone. We may not even go out and have girls' night as often as before. But I make an effort to let her know that I value her and that I want her in my life in the capacity that we're able to have each other. But it takes work. It takes work on both ends. So yeah, it's effed up when people behind the scenes feel some type of way about you, but they're in your face and they playing a friend. And you're like, damn, yo, you ain't like me from the jump. But we all have signs. We all have people that show us who they are. And when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't make up a narrative about them because they're showing you that they ain't shit. Just believe it and learn to walk away with grace. That's what I have to say about friendship breakups. That's my
a fact. And thank you for sharing that. So talking about so many different experiences, and Yana and I, we've talked on so many different levels about so many. We have a parallel life. I don't know why, but we just do. But we definitely talked about just the different dynamics and definitely seeing things. And I think though a lot of what is shared, and I think a lot of what we're sharing right now is lessons learned from us over the years. A lot of our friendships though we've had since we were very young, right? And so we didn't know these things then, but now we know these things now. And I think we can definitely touch on these things as we move a little further when we talk about just friendships in adulthood. But yeah, there's tons of lessons learned. And I think part of sisterhood and part of, I think, our task as women in this world is to share these lessons with those who are around us, is the little girls and the little boys, but to share that the things that we've learned about friendships. So I think it would make it a lot easier pill to swallow when it happens, because there's so many things that occurred to me that I never thought about. I never thought about friendship breakups. When it never crossed my mind. In my mind, my friends are going to be my friends forever. In my mind, my BFFs is going to be my BFFs forever. I knew breakups were going to happen with boyfriends, flings,
right.
little flings. I expected those things very honestly, very openly. But when the thought of, or the feeling of, and then when it actually happens, of my friend not being there, it took me, like, I was blindsided. Like, I was blindsided. So I think that's something that definitely needs to be discussed a little more, because I also don't think we expect the amount of emotion. We don't expect all that comes with it, because it's like, oh, it's just a friend. But what does that mean? Oh, it's just a friend. Friends are important. Friends are integral pieces of our lives, just like family are. And some friends are family. Some friends are closer to family than our own family, right? And so we really, really need to acknowledge that.
You know, the conversations are open. I mean, this is the reason we did this, because it's needed, right? We all have these experiences and these lessons opening up, and to talk about them and normalize our lessons is just something that's just needed. So
as you can see in front of y'all right here, it says, y'all ever lost a best friend and realized you didn't lose a best friend? And this kind of ties into what we were speaking about earlier, kind of where we got messages of friendship, but also how there was always a person in our lives that was able to see things that we just wasn't able to see. So I'm asking y'all, have y'all ever lost a best friend or a friend and realized you didn't lose a best friend, right? Just like I mentioned, I had to talk with my friend after we broke up, had our friendship breakup years after. And then I realized, oh my gosh, you were my best friend, but clearly I wasn't yours. Like, wow, like we definitely was living in two different relationships. We were definitely living in two different spaces. So Yana, you can go ahead and jump in, and then and anyone else can chime in as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to answer that question. But before that, I wanted to say there is opportunity of reconciliation. Like, friendship breakup, the same way you can reconcile with a boo that you broke up with and come back together and come back stronger, there is an opportunity to do that if the friendship is valuable enough. I've lived through it. I had a friendship breakup and didn't speak to a friend for over 5 years, and now we are back, and I would say tight in a different way, not tight as ever. We're grown now, we're more mature, but we are tight again after not speaking to each other for quite some time, and both having bruised egos and both hurting each other's feelings in the process and breaking up. So we broke up and we came back. So there is room for reconciliation and friendship if it's worth it. If it's worth it, honey, but first you got to assess if the person is worth it. Sometimes you leave people right where they at, behind the closed doors. But if it's worth it, then it'll come back to pass, especially if you have genuine love. For me, yeah, I had a best friend in high school. We ran together. We were tight. And all along, everybody and their mama was telling me that sis was jealous of me. My college friends was like, yo, she don't really like you. She don't like us, and she don't like you. My mama was like, homegirl acting funny. And I was like, this is my best friend. And then I went through something very traumatic in my life where you would think that a best friend would be present and be supportive, and she was not. And then she hit me with, like y'all said, the laundry list of stuff she ain't like about me at the lowest point in my life. And I was like, yo, you hate me. Like, not only do you not like me, but you have to hate me to do something like this. And so, then I realized, nah, she wasn't a best friend. She was something familiar. She was something comfortable, but we get stuck putting labels on things that are comfortable and familiar, even though they're harmful. So that was my situation with losing my so-called best friend. But it happens, and then you realize you grow up. Like, that's what happens with maturity. I think one advice I would give to my daughter when she gets older, among other things, mother's always right. But no, mother's not always right. But when your mama, we all black women in here, and when your black mama tell you she ain't your friend,
that ain't your friend.
It's so true.
That's not your friend.
9 times out of 10, maybe that one time your mama was wrong and she just ain't like the little girl, or like, something about her. But 9 times out of 10, if your mama keep game, listen to your mama, because she be knowing. And always, my mother always was spot on. That little girl don't like you. And I used to just be like, oh, Ma, you don't know what you're talking about. And now it's like, oh, yeah, she don't like me back. My mama peeped you before I peeped you. And so that would be the advice that I would give to my child and generations behind me. Like, pay attention when somebody has more discernment than you.
Yeah.
And listen, take heed.
We talked about, for those of us who joined a little later, we really try to unpack what we considered, why did we consider a person a friend? What are those qualities in a friend that we were looking for? Why we gave someone a best friend title? And as we've been talking, I don't know if y'all noticed, a lot of things that we want, a lot of the things that we strive for, we look for, and a lot of things that probably broke up our friendships. Don't they sound vaguely familiar? Like, they sound like things you want in, if not all your relationships, in your romantic relationships as well. And I think a lot of times we seem to like separate friendships and other relationships as if it's something completely different. When the reality situation is, a lot of the times our friendships are as intimate as our, intimate relationships, right? They're almost as intimate as if you and your partner, because you have fostered and you look for that same level of comfort. Of course, there are some other things that you get to do with an intimate partner that you may not do with your friends. But as Mo mentioned, some friendships, blur that line, no judgment. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's friendships look different. But there are a lot of things that we want in our friendships that we also strive for and look for in our relationships. And I want to open this conversation up, though, with a question, because for me, I've had quite an experience when it came to having a friend when I was single, and then how that friendship looked when I was in a relationship, and vice versa. When that person was in a relationship, my friend was in a relationship, and then when I was single. And I'm going to ask you all, who comes first? Your best friend or your partner?
I think it depends. I think it depends on circumstance.
Okay.
You can't always say your partner comes first. It might be a time when I got to tell my man, I got to go. My friend needs me because she's in need. But I think, I think they play two different roles in your life. But I think you have to learn how to juggle. So I would say it depends on circumstance.
Yeah, I would say
would be how I would answer that.
I would say there's a balance that needs to be there with the boundaries, double balance with boundaries, in regards to that, because I've been in a relationship for next year will be 6 years, and my French it was the one best friend that didn't last past me being coupled with someone else. But I feel like there needs to be a balance, and actually that's something that I look for in my partner. When I was dating him, one, I was treating him like a friend. So how do I treat my male friends? Even though I was attracted to him, I was like, okay, this is my friend. I want to treat him as I would a friend. I'm not sitting waiting for my girlfriends to text me, good morning. I'm really not. I'm just not. So how do I treat him like a friend? And also, how does he treat his friends? Does he have a lot of friends? How is he connected to his friends? Right. And the thing that was a green flag for me is that he had vibrant, healthy friendships with other people, other women. I was like, oh, this person knows how to be a friend. So there's the friendship relationship. I feel like it's like a Venn diagram, and there's a time where they just need to be balanced. And that if there's a friend who doesn't like that balance, then it might be a problem.
It's interesting you should talk about that, because another sister friend of mine, I know when I got married, she wasn't in New York, she was in Maryland, and she couldn't come to the wedding. And then when I had my firstborn son, I just noticed that, she took a step back. And when I don't want to say question, but when I spoke on it, she said to me, I thought you didn't need me anymore. And I was like, wow. I was like, but I still need you. Yes, I have my husband. And, again, he's my husband and I have my son, but I still need you as my sister. You know what I mean? So, and when I said that to her, she was like, okay, it's like, I still need you. in my life. And she said, yeah, I still need you in my life. So it's like, no, don't ever think that I don't need you because now I'm married or now that, I have my son. No, I still need that. I still need you, so.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I found in the dynamics that I've had with, other women that they change when depending on which one of us is single or not. And this is something I always wanted to speak on because I didn't know if this was just a me thing or what, but I found that, and again, I'm going to speak for myself, but again, anyone can chime in, that there was a real lack of value of the friendship once that person got into a relationship. Like, once we single, we out here, we having fun, we trying to find one, and once they got coupled up, and again, it didn't even have to be a real actual documented relationship. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It could have just been whatever, right? Some situationship. That person just deviated all their time, their attention, like there's no value up until, they got problems. Oh, hey girl, I'm back. Whoa, wait a minute. What is happening here? And for me, it always rubbed me wrong. But this question was not a trick question. I really wanted to hear people's perspectives. And I wanted to, and I think it took me, again, having those experiences and becoming an adult to learn exactly what you all said. It depends. And there needs to be a balance with boundaries, right? When I was younger and in those dynamics, my friends came first, period. There was no other option. And again, in my mind, how I was always functioning, my friends were here before you. They're going to be here after you. I never thought about my friends leaving. I thought it was always an idea, relationship will end. But I never saw my friends leaving. So if I don't cultivate this relationship, then something bad can happen with my friend. But if I don't give you the energy, you'll be all right. And a lot of times those relationships got, whatever happens. It wasn't until having these experiences with my friends where they'll jump into something, completely forget we're friends. Like, I mean, completely forget. Like, they won't answer phone calls. They won't answer messages. I could be bleeding to death somewhere. Cannot contact them. Cannot find them. Right? Yeah, they can call me 3:00 in the morning. Don't matter who's next to me, what I'm doing, I'm picking up. But whenever they got into the dynamics, they changed into a different person. Once they're single, there was a different person to make me go, you know what? I really don't like this. But I'm like, but why is this happening? Right? Like, it took me a while for me to step back. I can't say, and again, in talking to myself and unpacking, I'm like, I can't say that it's just going to be my partner or it's just going to be my friend. But it does depend, right? You do have to have a level of balance because your friendships are important. They add a value, like what you said, Kaida. I need you in the way that I need you, right? You hold a certain place, but then my partner also holds a certain place, right? They also hold a certain value. And I feel like, at least in my experience, I've had difficulty finding friendships that know how to balance, right? Like understanding, like, yes, sometimes I got to give my attention here and sometimes I got to give my attention there. So in y'all experiences, I know some of y'all are parents, right? Some of y'all are married. It's kind of, how has it been in being able to juggle your friendships and your relationships? And that could be with your children or with your partners. Like is there a level of work that takes thinking for you to be able to balance them, or it kind of just happens seamless? Like, how does that work for you all?
You said, does it happen naturally to balance responsibility with friendship?
Is it a thought for you? Like, do you give it conscious thoughts, or is it kind of like?
I do, because I have been guilty of falling back when I was in my last relationship. You kind of get comfortable. You boo loving, you got your man, you get into your rhythm of creating that little space with your partner or whoever your partner is, man, woman, them, they. You get very comfortable in the romantic relationship to the point where most of your energy goes there, and your friendships naturally take a second seat. Like, this is especially if you live with your partner, so that's somebody you come home to, that's the person that you'll see primarily. So it was easy for me to be more distant when I was in a relationship with my friends, and I had to be intentional about being an active and present friend And I can't say I always did it right. I can't say I always got it right, but I tried to. And then I had to remember, if this man goes, who do I turn to? Who I'm gonna call on? Who gonna help pick up the pieces? Who gonna come have girl talk and drink some wine and help me heal and lick my wounds? So you can't ignore your friends for your man. Vice versa, you can't ignore your man for your friends. It really is a balance. And you would hope that you can marry, or your partner, I keep saying your man, but your partner, you would hope that you would be able to marry those two relationships. I included my friends in coming over and meeting my partner and them getting to know him. And, we gonna be cool. We gonna have house parties. I kind of built that bridge, but sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's a lot of work. It's not always easy and it's not always seamless. And then, if you throw children in the mix, because kids take all your energy. Kids take energy away from your own partner who you may share the kids with. So it's a dance. It's not always easy, but when you value relationships and you value the person, you work at it. You work at everything. You work at it all, and you learn to juggle. And then hopefully your friends understand when you don't get it right. Like I think my friends were really loving and caring and gracious of me to understand when I didn't always get it right and when I fell off.
I'm not a parent, but I'm thinking about, those in my life who have become parents or those who are partnered. And I feel like once my friend announced she's pregnant, I'm like, not there goes the friendship, but I know things are going to shift, right? Because now your baby is priority. So now when we do talk, it's about Chuck E. Cheese and bottles and shit like that. Not that I don't care, but it's like, I kind of miss my friend, but I know, especially the first couple of months, especially if they're a new mom. Like,
you ain't never heard me talk about Chuck E. Cheese, Mo.
Not yet. Not yet. Wait till she get. Wait. Not yet. Wait. I'm sure we're gonna have a play day at Chuck E. Cheese. I already know. I'm preparing myself. It's all right. You're a mom. I get it. But then, like, if my friends once they get booed up, like you was talking about, Ayana, when it's like, especially that beginning phase and you boo love it, and I'm starting to feel like I'm kind of guilty of that now, but I'm trying not to, and, still connecting with my friends, but I see how you could do it. Like, I have one friend, as soon as she start really dating, I'm like, I don't hear from her for the whole weekend, but I've kind of conditioned myself to be okay with it because I still value the friendship, right? And I don't want her to feel like I'm jealous of, whatever she's trying to cultivate, but it's just like sometimes I miss my friend, but I also gotta, meet her where she's at. But I think too, kind of going back to what you were saying, Ayana, about like the whole check-ins with your friendship, I feel like that's something that I could do more of moving forward. So it won't come to a point, well, I mean, I can't prevent it, but like try to circumvent having like those big, those big, not blowouts, but those big emotion-filled moments, if you're having check-ins with each other to make sure that your needs are being met. Because like we talked about, friendships are very similar to relationships, sometimes without the level of physical intimacy.
Yeah. I definitely feel you on that, Mo. And definitely that suggestion is definitely useful. And again, though, right, it still is dependent on the person you're trying to develop and foster that relationship with, because they may not be ready for that type of evaluation, right? Again, they have to be open to it, and they have to know and understand you're coming from a place of love. A lot of us, again, the messages we get about friendship, some of us have different type of wounds that kind of make it difficult for us to really foster relationships, even though we want them. And I know the last, friendship breakup that I had, like this particular person, I think really, really, really wanted a friendship. They really wanted one with me. I do feel that way. However, I think because, she shared like a mother wound that she really had to navigate, it was difficult to foster a relationship and trust with a woman. So it's like having that need and that actually being able to do it, the need versus the capability, they kind of, a lot of times bumped heads. And I think that's what caused it caused the issues that we had in our dynamic and caused us to break up. And sometimes the hope is that we're able to find people who are on that level and ready to take on, that type of, I guess, that adult thinking. Because I think it's a very adult thing. I don't think any of us was thinking about, hey, let's check in as a friend. You know what I mean? When we were younger, like, we didn't think about that. It was like, as long as we talking, we good. As long as we could go out and have fun, we were all right. this here reads, relationship and friendships are supposed to lift you up, not drain you of energy. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for me, this was not something that I thought about. Like in my mind, my friendships could drain me of energy just as long as my relationships didn't. And I was that person who was getting drained from a lot of my friendships because I was always that trustworthy one. I was always the one, you call me whatever time, I got you. I was always the one that was like, who messing with you, girl? I'm taking off my earrings, let's go. I ain't asking no questions. Like I was always that one, and not realizing that, you know, your cup will be empty and you will have nothing left for yourself if you are not one, again, because I have to keep remembering this, Tayllor, that's why I'm gonna keep repeating it, because I still got to remember this, to have these healthy boundaries, right? Like to make sure that those boundaries are there so that you are not drained. And but also for all the rest of your relationships, they need to have a part of you as well. So you can't be pouring too much into one, and therefore the others won't get anything from you. And that's also not fair to them as well. Moving into relationships in adulthood. So we all talked about our experiences. We all mentioned different things and a lot of lessons learned. And I love what Ayana said about just evaluating your friendships and being, and again, what Mo said too, about calling out things you don't like in the moment. And if you can't do it in the moment, because I know a lot of us sometimes need to reflect, doing it soon after, right? Not sitting on it and harboring it and then building resentment. But if something happened on Monday, you need some days to think about it. But as long as you bring it up in a decent amount of time so that it's not just sitting there, I think those are important things. Again, things I've tried that didn't help. But you know what? I'm still learning. There's hope.
We all still learning.
There's some hope in me. But again, the people who are for you are going to be for you. And I mean, I have some people here I've known for years, and I think our dynamics have been, they're all different, of course, but I would hope that they will always say that I'm genuine and I am honest, and they also can come to me with their thoughts and feelings. And again, I have reactions because it's normal. However, I will heed to it. Like I'm listening to you. I will listen to what you say to me when you do come to me. I may not like it in the moment, but I know you care about me and I'm going to listen to what you have to say to me.
Right.
Thinking about friendships in adulthood. And of course, I'm sure now we value different things than we valued when we were younger. What are the things now that you feel you value more now as an adult than you did when you were growing up when it came to friendships?
One thing that we were talking about in the chat in regards to just that transparency in a relationship, a friendship, like that vulnerability that I can come to you as a full human being, and also quality over quantity. I did not know that my circle would get so small. When I went into college, all my friends, I mean, I had so many friends, you couldn't even, I mean, I had like 17 lunch plans. I had lunch for you. And even of the span of 4 years, from the time I went into college to when I graduated, my circle got so small. And then coming out of that, small. And I am happy about it.
Yeah.
I am ecstatic about it because the people that I have closest to me, they deserve that spot. And I have the energy to give those people. And also understanding that, I think Katanya had said, friends that you have for different things. So I'm not one to go out and I have probably like one good ton up in me a month. One good one. And then I have about 2, bar hopping nights in me. But if I have a friend who's like, they are out, I'm not going to be offended if they don't invite me, because I know what type of friendship we have. We have coffee date. We have a coffee date, we have a good dinner, and maybe like a girls trip. Like that's the type of friendship that we have, and understanding and accepting my limitations and my boundaries within that, and then enjoying them. Like if I see her out, I'm like, yes, you do you. Like one time, the first time we went out, it was about 12:30. We got there maybe 10:30, and I said, this was a great night. I can't wait to enjoy this night. And she was like, no, we're not done. I was like, excuse me? What do you mean we're not done? She's like, it's the party's just getting started. Like, and I know that's that friend who's gonna go out and she's gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna need to be sleep by 1, you know, and understanding and accepting and enjoying the different parts, the different things I can enjoy with my friends as an adult. I don't have to be everything for everybody.
Yeah.
Some friends are just for those specific things.
That part. Not having to be everything for everybody, especially when our lives are not the same anymore. They're just not. They're just not. I think for me, Yana, I see your hand. For me, I think again, I've always valued relationships a lot, even when I was younger. And again, that had to do with, you know, my upbringing. But I think for me, the most important piece of learning that I had in throughout my experience and now in adulthood is appreciating what I didn't appreciate then that I appreciate now is the time that people actually give to me. I didn't like that to me. I didn't understand that because when we're younger, we ain't got nothing but time, right? Like we didn't have real lives like that for real. So I was talking on the phone and always being able to do things in your mind. Now, when you're transitioning into young adulthood, you're thinking that people should have that same amount of time, right? And not understanding that different components of life is being thrown in now. And so now when I'm on this side of it, when people can reach out and send me a text message, when people do send me a prayer, when someone sends, just say, hey, I'm checking in on you, or if I can check in on them and ask them, hey, can I bend your ear for a second? And they give me that time. I'm so appreciative of that because I know that there's not enough hours in a day for the things that we need to do as adults. And so for me, that's one thing that I value so much more when someone can give me their time. And I do also appreciate those friends who, we don't talk often, but when we do, they do acknowledge, oh man, so much time has passed. And, I apologize for that. It's not that I wasn't thinking about you, but, just so many things were happening. I do still appreciate the acknowledgement of that. You know what I'm saying? But I also do understand that life happens and time is something that we all wish we had a lot more of.
I agree with what both you and Tayllor said about one, knowing what type of friend you have, because everybody doesn't fit in all of the boxes. Mm-hmm. And I used to want a me for me, meaning I used to want my friends to do like I do. And I think I grew up a little bit, and I don't expect a me out of everybody, but I do expect alignment. So I'm the type of person who loves to invest in my friends. You had a baby, all right, what baby need? Like, that's where you at in life. All right, listen. I like to champion for my friends. So I like to show up and show out for my friends. And I do expect some reciprocity. I expect friends that are all about me sometimes when I'm all about them, because it's easy for me to be all about them. I expect a friend to be able to pray for me. Even if you can't reach out, I know that I need your prayers. I know that I need your thoughts. And you let me know. You let me know and be intentional about letting me know that you think about me. I need a friend who's encouraging, because we got a lot of things going on in life. And so while I love to give encouragement, it feels great to get it as well. So I love a friend that's like, yo, you doing the damn thing, sis. I see you and I'm supporting you. Even if the support just means giving me a thumbs up on a post, or liking a post, or reposting a post, or just telling me, I inspire you by some of the things I'm doing. Those are what I expect from my friendships now, because that's what I can give. That is the root of all of my friendships now. And we become family. I'm building a village, and my village is a village of triumph. And those that are a part of that village are all aligned with understanding where I'm moving, where my life is going. And they're about something, and they're doing something, and their life is moving in that direction. And we support each other in that way. And so I value my friendships differently. I used to be like, yo, to turn up, that used to be me. I used to be in the streets Thursday to Sunday every week. I'm tired now. I'm pushing mid-30s. So I sit down and I watch TV shows and change diapers. I need somebody that can change with the ebb and flows of life, but still know that I'm always there and they're always there. And that's what I value in friendships now as an adult.
Yeah, that word right there, reciprocity, that right there is across all relationships, I think is essential. And it doesn't mean you give to me in the exact same way that I'm giving to you, but that you are giving to me, right? It's not just a one-way street, but you are giving in the way in which that you can. We don't talk every day. That's fine. I check in on you more often. That's cool. But when you do check in, you check in, right? It's not like a superficial thing, right? Like you giving in some way, in the way in which you can. And I think that definitely is super, super important for sure. Anybody else want to add lessons learned? Anything you want to add at this point? Things that you have gathered and learned in adulthood in regards to friendships? Okay, there's a comment. I'm gonna read it out loud. It says, I'm at a space in my life where it's important for me to protect my energy. Amen. Okay. I want to be intentional with the people I care about, where our relationships are reciprocal in genuine authenticity of how we show up for ourselves and each other. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think when we were younger, it was easy for us to, we lived it in ourselves, but when we saw people living in delusion, we kind of was like, right? But I think this is important, and at least from what I gathered from what was said, again, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm kind of like not picking up the message in which you were trying to say. But when I saw, genuine authenticity, it's important. Not only, again, birds of a feather flock together, what you were saying. So if you have someone who's around you that's like, at this point in the game, I hope none of us do, but have someone around you that's just not living, I guess, a lifestyle or just a life that
aligns.
Exactly. Alignment is important. When you were younger, it might have been like, it's fine, who cares? Now it's like, oh, like that. I know that being around that might transfer, right? That energy might transfer, that might cause, a little bit of chaos in my life. And I love you, but I'm gonna need you to go over there. You know what I mean? Now it's more that, whereas before it's like, whatever, it's cool. Now it's like, this doesn't work for me anymore. I just can't. I can't even risk the possibility of whatever going on with you to come over here. And so that is important, right? That is something that I think now we definitely pay a lot more attention to, definitely being more intentional about those people and the things that they're bringing in from their own lives, and that can possibly bleed into yours. Yeah, that is absolutely 100.
Of the energy is so, like, we've talked about this, and I mentioned it on Instagram. We are our own first everything. We are our own first friend. We are our own first best friend. And when I'm protecting my energy, to me, that means, how am I treating myself? Because there was a time when I did not want to be alone. I don't really remember it now because I've done some work and I love my alone time. It's just like, I have so much fun by myself. But protecting my energy and protecting my peace and my serenity, that comes first, because I'm my first friend. I have to treat this well first. And when I don't do that, I'm not in protecting my energy, I can't have someone coming in who's like not aligned with what I'm aligned with.
Yep.
And I love, and it's such a reminder to me, like, oh, right, how am I treating myself? Am I protecting my peace? Because if I'm not, I'm gonna let in a whole bunch of mess, and it's still gonna get messy.
And that's 100%. And for me, again, lesson learned later in life, but at least I learned the lesson. It wasn't until I had that friendship breakup, that made me really evaluate how I was treating myself and what I was providing for myself, or that codependency, right? I was leaning on that person for so much stuff. And then when I was left without that person, I was literally like, what do I do with myself now? And I learned, wow, like, oh, you know what? You can still go to dinners by yourself. You can still go and do the things you enjoy by yourself. And that's when I developed a friendship with myself. Because before, it just never occurred to me in that way. And again, like what you said, Tayllor, I love alone time. I love being by myself. I do so many things by myself. And people just like, oh, even my cousins like, what? You do that by yourself? You go to dinner by yourself? You go to the movie by yourself? You do that? Yes, why not? Like, I love my company. Like, why not? But again, it's something that you have to learn. Some people may never get there, and some people, and that's okay. Like, it's not for everybody, right? But I definitely think there's such peace, I think, that comes with you understanding that you are your best friend. And it doesn't mean that other people don't matter. It doesn't mean that you don't need other people. It's just understanding that if those people aren't there, you will be okay. And you will be able to get through whatever, or you'll be able to feel the things you need to feel if that other person isn't there. And for me, I think once I removed that scary part, that you're gonna be alone, that scary piece of it, it just made it just a lot easier for me to understand, and it just felt a lot more beautiful too.
Yeah, I got there through the romantic part, because it's like, who what type of partner you want? You gotta learn to be by yourself. And I was like, okay, well, I have to learn to deal with or make peace with loneliness first. And what does loneliness feel like when it's not an enemy or a threat? And once I did that emotional work, it being by myself it's easier, a lot easier. And if I'm my own best friend, the people that I attract around me will treat me like I treat me. When I was younger, I was not treating myself very well. Yeah, and friends around me who came around me followed suit on how I treated myself. And that was lessons learned. I will say that lessons learned on that front.
That is so true. That is so true. So sisterhood is important. I wish that on every woman to find a real friend, a real sister. I honestly probably came to, not terms, I don't want to say that, but I came to a place where I understood, one, the importance of being my own. In me coming to that place, understanding why I needed my own to be my own best friends, I then saw the beauty in having people around you who voluntarily wanted to be in your life, right? Who, despite having kids, despite getting married, despite trying to climb the ladder, still chose to be in your life. And for me, I think that kind of opened my eyes up to really appreciating sisterhood, really appreciating what comes with having just someone there for you that doesn't have to be there, but choosing to be there for you. And I think that, I know a lot of us probably hear this, because I was actually one of those people that was just like, oh, I don't like female relationships, they messy, I'm good, I relate to men better. And I think that had to do with the hurt that I've experienced, right? The trauma I experienced in the relationships that I've had, and just not fully understanding the importance of having someone who understands your experiences. Of course, we're all unique, we're all different, and we don't have the same experiences. However, we have enough in common for us to be able to really empathize with each other, right? And really have that level of compassion with each other. And I think that is important. There's no way that a man could ever understand what it is to be a woman, and there's no way that a white woman would ever understand what it feels to be a Black woman. And so having people who are in your life that can relate to it in a way that you don't even have to speak on it, like it's like an understood thing, it is something that just, it not only does it look different, it just hits different. You know what I mean? And it really did take having those experiences, having those breakups, finding myself, finding my best friend in myself, to really understand the importance of what sisterhood really is, and why it's needed in our lives.
Facts. I love this. And I've never thought of having like pictures. Like, I just love this because the conversations are happening. It's just kind of bringing them all together. I love this. The next season of your friendships and relationships, may you be free to show up fully and authentically, not leaving any part of yourself behind. I love how it says not leaving any part of yourself behind versus out. Like when we show up fully as ourselves, and I think Surya said it, like being at peace with the parts of yourself that's not so lovable. And that level of acceptance speaks to that authenticity. And this is kind of this is it. This is what I want Sisterhood Verb Incorporated to be about. Not creating connections that aren't real, but being honest about how we connect, so that whatever sisterhood, whatever village we're creating, or whatever village we're pouring into, it may not involve me, but whatever village that you're pouring into, this is a place you can come, fill up on that positive and that love, and then pour into your village and your sisterhood, because every sisterhood looks different. Every sisterhood involves different people. And this conversation speaks to the constant growth. And I think you touched on that. So, because we're always growing in these friendships and these relationships, and being honest about that and being open about that and not having to hide it. I kind of like how there was this time on Twitter where everyone's like, normalize this, normalize that. I got annoying very quickly, but I kind of like the idea of, no, let's normalize these conversations and make them real. And for Black women, the spaces to do that are becoming more and more. So that makes me super happy, and to be a part of it is amazing. This fed me spiritually.
Absolutely. Seeing that to me too, and it's why I wanted to include it. I felt like it's if you're of that school of thought of speaking what you want into existence, but also breathing life into other people. And this is something I thought was so beautiful, that and I wish this on everyone who is here, that if you don't already have this in your life, that this is something that you will experience at some point in your life. And I'm still praying on certain things. And I have friendships, I have lasting friendships, but I guess in my mind I have a certain particular type of thing in my head, and maybe I need to let that go and just appreciate what I have, again, still learning and still growing, but really having whatever the type of friendship that you want and relationships that you want, and really hoping that you achieve that and you get that, and breathing that into your life and putting that into the universe and to whom and whatever you believe in, so that it is a part of your life. And I thought that was just a beautiful thing. And that, again, like what Yana said, those of us who have those friends that pray with them, that pray for them, I think that's something that's amazing and that's beautiful. And again, if you're not into religion or whatever the case is, but just being able to affirm and also help manifest something of this magnitude in someone else's life, I think is amazing and beautiful. So I wanted to share that, because I wish all this onto all of y'all at some point in your lives.
Second that motion. I just wanted to give a shout out to AJ for just leading this discussion and bringing it, just showing up for this and opening the floor so that we could have what we had, an amazing discussion, and just all the epiphanies coming, the affirmations, the confirmations. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who is here. Yes. Who RSVP'd. Thank you for showing up in the space. Stay connected. There's going to be more conversations like this. I hope to have AJ again. We can just talk about something else. Maybe talk about relationships, talk about dating. I don't know.
Thing to talk about.
We have a lot to discuss. So just stay connected with us. If you have a conversation that you want to bring to the floor, Sisterhood Saturday is something that I want to be community driven. So it's, I'm open to partnering, collaborating with others to bring other relevant conversations to the forefront. In January, we'll be coming back. We'll be having a conversation with my mother, Dr. Collins, who does work on organizational racialized trauma and how to regulate when we, experience some difficult things in the workplace, and how do we regulate and heal ourselves as Black people. So that's going to be happening in January. And thank you all for being here. And AJ, any last words before we get on with our evenings?
I am always grateful for when people show up. Y'all took the time out of your lives. Again, I don't play about people's time. I thank you for giving me your time. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And thank you. If you haven't already subscribed to the Oasis podcast, please do. And I thank you all for the support and love that you've shown. And thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye. You too. Be well, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of the Oasis podcast. I hope you were able to find something that resonated with you on your journey. Don't forget to subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts and YouTube. Rate us and leave us a review and comment on Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and YouTube. Share your favorite episode and like us on Instagram and Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, want to be a guest, or any show ideas, contact us at ajoconsulting@gmail.com. That's aayjaysoassis@gmail.com, or direct message us on Instagram and Facebook.